Hey, it's Thomas Mulready from Cool Cleveland. We are here at Expona 2023, and we are here with Linette Smith from Hi-Fi Pig. Thank you so much for getting up early and checking us out. Thank you for speaking your mind as well. I appreciate it.
No, that's great. It's really, really cool to be here. This is the first time we've been to Expona, so we've been to Rocky Mountain before, and that was really good. Mark has asked us to come to Expona. It's quite close to Munich, but we said this year we're going to go.
So that's interesting, because you have been to all these international shows, and I've never been, and I hear, because we're talking about this issue of diversity, right, age, race, gender, and I understand that the shows in Europe and the Far East are a lot more open to families and women.
Well, we go to Munich every year, we go to Warsaw every year, we go to Eindhoven, and what you find at these big European shows, you get a lot of families, you know, people just bring the kids, people bring the wife, the girlfriend, and you've just got families and couples, and they're just really enjoying the music and really enjoying, like, seeing all the crazy hi-fi and stuff.
So what's different? I mean, look, the people aren't different, right? Are they running it different? Is the culture different with music and with equipment over there?
I think the culture is just much more inclusive of it being not just for the old guy that sits at home with like his millions of boxes and great big speakers. It's just very much aimed at a younger audience and a sort of family audience as well. I mean, in the UK as well, we have a few shows in the UK. There's the Bristol show in February that we always go to, which is a really big show, real mix of people. And then we have the Audio Show Deluxe, which is a more boutique show, very high end. That's very geared towards getting women and families and couples together.
Yeah. I'm fascinated with this because I come here for 10 years and I see a bunch of old white guys, and that's why I wanted to talk about this issue. I wonder, well, what are they doing differently? And I know Expona has changed, to give it credit, and this year is much more, and this may be your first, but it is a lot more diverse than what we have seen. So the culture is very different, and you are obviously British, but now you're living in France and really just traveling all around.
Yeah, we go all over Europe. We don't really go to the Far East yet, but we go to a lot of European shows, visit a lot of European manufacturers. We were recently up in Denmark, visiting Audio Group Denmark up there, and they're very into the whole like getting younger people into it and everything. So there's a real vibe about that in Europe. But I have noticed at Expona, sort of going around the last couple of days, there is the traditional audiophile, as you might describe them. There's a lot of women, but there is a lot of couples as well. I've not really seen so many kids or anything, but it seems to be a show that people are coming to as couples, which is really cool. So yeah, that's a really good thing.
It's not quite a family thing, like where they're bringing their families, even though it is on the weekend, but we're getting there, and that's nice. You've made an effort, I think, to really reach out to women. This group you started, Women in Hi-Fi, is something, and tell me about where that's going.
Well, basically that started up because we've been doing Hi-Fi Pig now for over 11 years, and I noticed that there is a lot of women in the hi-fi industry. There's a lot of women into the hobby as well, but there's a lot of women working in the hi-fi industry. But people weren't necessarily aware of this. I mean, there's women that are engineers, designers, running the companies, but people sort of assume it's a man's industry. But we started at the Women in Hi-Fi, came about really to meet up at places like Munich. So we all get together, as many of us who can, because obviously Munich's a hub for the whole world of hi-fi. And we all meet up there, and it's just really cool to sort of connect with other women.
And what do you talk about? That's what the men want to know. Like, what are you? Hopefully, you're bitching about the men and how you're being treated.
Is there? Bit of that, but no, we just sort of. We do quite a lot of business and stuff, so it's just like, I mean, if you were to get a group of men together at a hi-fi show, there'd be a lot of business done, and we're no different, to be honest. So, yeah. But I think a lot of the thing with this getting women into hi-fi, whether that's as a hobby or coming along to shows and what have you, is just making them feel welcome. because you can't just sort of create diversity in any industry. You can make people feel welcome by being inclusive, by not doing things that sort of make women go, or any other smaller group of people into the hobby. You don't want to put them off. So if you sort of go, well, yeah, this is for everybody. I think one of the ways of doing that, especially with getting younger people into the hobby as well, is to use music. So I don't listen to classical music, I don't listen to opera, a little bit of jazz, but we listen to a lot of house music, a lot of techno. So if you go into a room and they're playing some electronic music, they're playing some house or some techno, or they're playing the latest Ghost Rider or something like that, you sort of go, oh yeah, and it sort of draws people in. I noticed this in a room yesterday. We were up at, I think it was Vinnie Ross's room, and he put on Skepta, who's a grime artist from London. Cool. And it was like, oh yeah, this is really cool, different music. And I think that whole thing of using music will draw people in, so I think that's a good thing to do.
That's a great idea. And just to welcome people, as you said, welcome everyone, right?
Yeah, exactly. And don't say, if you're running a room at a show and you've got like really cool gear and everything, sort of gauge it, because not everyone that walks in doesn't know anything about your products. They don't necessarily need to be mansplained to about stuff. So just listen, because people will ask, you will ask questions if you want to know something, but don't assume that somebody doesn't know anything just because maybe they're young, or maybe they don't look like an audiophile, maybe it's a woman. They maybe know quite a bit.
And you're starting something new that's a little broader than just the hi-fi, correct? We've been going for, like I say, just over 11 years, and we've always done an online magazine as well. That's now quarterly, and we've relaunched it just a few weeks ago, and that's called Not Boring. So it's Not Boring by Hi-Fi Pig. And what we're doing with that, we have taken on some younger writers who are not from the audio industry. So they're diverse, it's younger people, they're writing about stuff that interests them. So we've got a guy called Bai, and he's writing about like Ghanaian hip hop and Afro beats and that kind of thing. We've got a girl called Sarah, and she's just written an amazing article about tattoos and music. So what we're doing is we're kind of mixing in the cultural stuff that young people and other diverse groups are into, and in there's also the hi-fi, there's the reviews and things. So they might be reading about music and then, oh wow, look at these speakers, it's like, that's really cool. Yes. And then hopefully that creates the interest. They maybe think about coming to a show, They might actually buy something. Exactly. Instead of buying the latest thing from Apple. They might look at some, because they're spending the money. We were saying these, AirPods, they're expensive.
Young people do have disposable income to spend on hi-fi products, so they may not be buying the £250,000 pair of speakers straight away. But if they can come in and maybe get a whole system for like $5,000, that's affordable for someone that's working. They can maybe sort of get in at that level, but then they sort of build that sort of relationship with the brands that are like catering to that audience, and they'll upgrade. So hopefully.
I think you were so on the right track, Lynn. I really appreciate what you're doing. It's like kindred spirit, because the spirit that you're bringing and this idea of openness and tapping into networking in different ways and lifestyle that's much broader than this it's so necessary here, and I'm so glad you're here. Welcome to the first time.
Lovely to be here. I just say it's been absolutely fabulous. There's been like Liz and Dee and Mark and the team have really looked after us. We've been made to feel really welcome. We've met loads of our readers, and I think it's a very important thing for us. We go to a lot of shows, and we always try and spend time to speak to our readers, because they're the people that are really important to us. So we it's like really heartwarming when people come up and go, oh, Hi-Fi Pig, I read Hi-Fi Pig, I love it. And it's just like, oh, just warms the cockles.
They were coming up just a minute ago while we were getting set up here and hugging you, and so glad.
I did say, like, we'll probably get interrupted by people,
Or photobombed or something.
Yeah, this generally happens. So,
Lynn, thank you so much for getting up early this morning. You have such a big day and a big schedule and jet lag and all that. And thank you for sharing.
It's been a pleasure.
And for what you do. I mean, just to give validation that you are so on the right track with what you're doing. And it's the work that we all need to do. And thank you for just the message of just don't assume anything. Just talk to everybody.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, exactly. So, but yeah, we're looking forward to the last day of the show. So, I mean, if you watch this before the show's finished, get down because it's so cool. It's a really cool show.
Thank you so much, Lynn. Thanks for taking a moment.
Nice to meet you. Thank you.
Nice
Bye-bye.
to meet you. Thank you. Hey, it's Thomas Mulready from Cool Cleveland. We're here at Expona 2023.